I want to use my voice a bit more. I feel like when you're sort of new to freelance life and new to the industry, you don't realize that everybody sort of goes through the same struggles because, you know, people on socials, it's very curated. You post your best work, you post all of your wins. And I feel like as a freelancer, like, it's freaking hard. It is so freaking hard. And I don't think it's spoken about enough. And like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years and I still feel like I struggle with it. I have a fair bit of imposter syndrome, especially when I see like people around me like succeeding in other ways that I'm not, or where I think I should be. So yeah, I guess it's just something that I want to talk more about. I know for me, 2025 was the absolute hardest year in business for me. I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome. I struggled a lot with losing clients. I struggled a lot, and I feel like now I'm on the outside of that and I've restructured how I'm sort of approaching business now. Like back in 2023 and 2024, I was so freaking burnt out. I really started to dislike what I was doing. I only wanted to work on creative projects, and I was really lucky enough that I was getting a lot of creative projects at the time, so I could sort of like pick and choose and say no to things that I didn't want to do. But I think now, like, the landscape has changed. Not just, I think clients are spending way less on creative content. A lot of businesses are trying to either hire a phone content creator, shoot the content themselves and use AI tools and whatnot to edit things. And so there's a lot less budget for creative projects, especially for like the realm of smaller to medium-sized businesses that I have been working with over the past, years. I have a lot of friends in the creative community and I know that other people are experiencing this too. Being a freelancer can be so financially stressful, but it can also be so incredibly rewarding. So right now where I'm at, I'm going back to taking on more solo shooting roles and more hybrid shooting roles. I normally hire a photographer when I'm working on projects that require video and photo. I know that I'm losing work to other people by not being a hybrid shooter, because a lot of the time clients don't have budget for both video and photo. They have a budget and they just want a little bit of both. So I'm starting to re-explore photography. It's not something I enjoy too much. I definitely love video. That's hands down my favorite thing. I can definitely take a photo, but I've got to get more comfortable in the process. And right now I feel like I'm not comfortable taking photos and directing and leading a photo shoot. But that's where growth sits. You know, people always say growth comes from uncomfortable places. So I'm excited to get more into photography, as well as I'm taking on a lot more of the non-glamorous jobs. Yes, I love creative work, but it's the corporate stuff that pays the bills. It's the shooting for other videographers that pays the bills. And like I said earlier, I feel like people really just post the highlight reel on socials. People don't post the nitty-gritty of what they're actually doing. And sometimes being a freelancer is a hustle. It is hard work. And so I kind of want this YouTube series to be a way that I can share my experiences with other people in the industry. Because yeah, of course, there's so many epic creative jobs that come in, but there's also so many boring jobs that aren't super creative, aren't super fun. You're more or less just pressing record and providing content to the client. And it's not something, you'd put in your show reel or put in your socials, but that's just the reality of it and it's not spoken about enough, and I want to share my experiences with you all. I don't know if this is going to be a weekly thing or a monthly thing or just whenever I have time. I know my schedule can get very chaotic. Obviously freelancing, sometimes you have a week full of shoots and then sometimes you have absolutely nothing. But I really hope I do try and stick to this so I can, again, show you what the reality of being a freelancer is like and what I do in quiet weeks. Because there is lots that does go on behind the scenes as well. I also think this is a really good opportunity for me to get uncomfortable, to get better at being on camera. I love posting behind the scenes content. I really struggle talking to camera. I don't feel confident talking on camera. And so I want this to be more of a general kind of chit chat, because I love helping other people. I love sharing my experiences. I love being the person that people come to when they have a camera question or a client question or anything like that. So would love to have you follow along for the journey. I also just want to keep it super casual. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've been wanting to put more of a focus on creating social content, whether it's long form or just Instagram stuff, for a while, but I always make the excuse of absolutely anything, you know, like my office is too messy, doesn't look professional, or the lighting doesn't look good. So I'm trying to set it all up in a way that makes it so that I honestly can make no excuse. So to help with that, I have these Hawk Lock small rig mounts, which basically you can just drop your camera into, and it's like this quick release plate like that. And I have two. So I got one for vertical, for horizontal, and I also have it on the tripod that's over there that I was just filming on. So this is how I'm trying to make content without it being too much effort. All right, let's have a look at this. Today is March 16th, and I have a pretty busy week this week. I'm doing a 1-hour shoot today for my local council. They have an in-house videographer, but they're unavailable today, and there's something that's happening at this swimming pool that's being constructed in the council, and they need the content of it. I'm pretty sure like someone from local government's going to be there, and so they need it captured. So I'm going to go do that. And then tomorrow I have a testimonial shoot with one of my corporate clients. Then some editing booked for Wednesday. Thursday's pretty chill, and then Friday I'm potentially driving up like 2 hours north to go shoot some event footage at this like massive 4-day event, which is pretty cool. Apart from that, I've got a few editing projects to wrap up, and I want to probably focus Thursday on just being purely social content for myself, you know, editing this video and posting some social content as well. I feel like I always just get really excited whenever I make anything for myself, and I always just want to edit it ASAP. I'm sure you guys feel the same, but I need like a dedicated day each week to really hone in and focus on that. Something I always struggle with my to-do lists is the fact that like I have all these thoughts and I jot them down on a note, and then I jot them down on a different note, and then sometimes I jot them down on paper. So I bought this like to-do list thing. So at the start of the day, I write down everything that I need to get done, what is the most important. Obviously things come up during the day quite often that kind of have to like reshuffle the order, but I leave everything on the to-do list, and so tomorrow if I don't finish it, then I just obviously go back to those tasks. And it sounds so simple now that I'm saying it out loud, but like, I don't know, I just struggle when there's so many different ways that you can write your to-do list. Like there's too many options nowadays, and I feel like just having it all written down just makes the most sense for me. So to-do list today. I've just sent out a contract and a invoice for a photo shoot that I have coming up in a few weeks. I have to prep my gear for my shoot this afternoon. I need to write a script for a YouTube video I want to film this week. I shot a spec project a few weeks back for Dr. Hydrate, which I want to sort of put into a bit of a YouTube video and share with you guys, and how I planned it all, how I shot it, how I edited it, and everything like that. And then I have my shoot this afternoon, and I need to post to Instagram. I also saw over the weekend I had a new inquiry come through, so I'm going to touch base with them. And the last thing on my to-do list today is to respond to all of my emails. I feel like I really struggle ending my day with a clear inbox. I don't know why, I read the little preview and then I go, oh yeah, I'll reply to that. It's something I need to get better at. So that's going to be the last thing on my to-do list. I've got my gear list ready. Now I can go prep everything for the shoot today. I would say these 3 lenses are probably like my go-to whenever I do a shoot. More often than not, purely just shooting on the 24-70, especially if I'm doing a gimbal shoot. But I do like the option of having the 70-200 when I am shooting handheld, because it's obviously a lot more punched in. So it's just nice to have that variety. And the 16-35, I more or less just kind of take as a bit of a backup, just in case the space is a bit small and the 24mm focal range just isn't wide enough to capture everything. It's my little audio pouch that I take to all my shoots. I use the Rode Wireless Go Pro. Maybe it's just the Wireless Pro, I don't know. But I use the case for charging and when connecting it to my computer, and then I put it all in here because otherwise you have to carry 2 pouches whenever you're trying to mic someone up, and it just gets really annoying. So just all in that. Cool. This shoot was one of those super run and gun projects where I was briefed on what we were capturing, but there wasn't really time to like set up shots or do anything like that. So I was just on the gimbal the whole time with the 24-70, so I could capture a lot of content, follow the people around as they did a walkthrough of the new space, get a lot of different angles, get some wides, get some tights, get some reactions, and then we also ended the shoot with some vox pops with some of the community members and some people from council. Awesome. And coming back in now.
We're really excited seeing the project come to life.
It's so cool coming in to see what is one of Kingston's biggest projects we've ever undertaken, and I can't wait to see it finished.
The hardest part about shooting in the city is lugging all of your camera gear to the shoots. Because a lot of the time parking's not super close. And as a solo shooter, it gets really hard trying to organize all of your camera equipment onto one trolley. I had to completely reorganize my lighting bag to make this work. And I think that I'm going to look into trying to get a light stand bag for this trolley. And maybe a tabletop too. That'll make it a hell of a lot easier. Say nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Awesome. That audio just there as I'm pulling my cart through the city was shot with the Insta Go Ultra 2 with the built-in mic, and I think I need to figure out a better way to sort of capture audio on the go. I tried to connect my DJI mic to the Ultra Go, and it just sounded like it added bucket loads of like noise reduction, and it made my voice sound really warped. Anyway, if anyone has any recommendations on a way that I can record audio on the go and make it super easy, I'd love any opinions. So for this shoot, we were pretty lucky that we had a boardroom that was quite spacious and we could easily move the tables. So I'm setting up for a 2-camera testimonial. I end up using 3 lights in the end. I've got my key light, which is the Nanlite FS 300C with a softbox. I've also got my hair light, which is the Nanlite 60C with a softbox. And then the lighting in the space was really, really orange. It doesn't look it on camera because it's like the auto white balance has kind of corrected that, but it was really warm. And so I ended up turning off the track lighting, but then the room was pitch black. So I set up another nan light, I think it was maybe 300B, in the corner on the same side as the key light, and I just beamed it at the roof to bring up the brightness within the space. Without this, I would have had to have kept the track lights on, and it just would have been a really warm, flat lighting look. This was also the first time in quite a while that I shot with my boom mic, the Rode NTG3. More or less, it is just a bit out of laziness. You know, a lav mic is obviously just so convenient to set up. But having that redundant audio source is really important, and it's something I want to try and put more of a focus on, especially when I'm working on bigger budget projects like this. This setup all up took about an hour, and after the interview, we moved straight into capturing some B-roll around the office space. So I'll play some of my favourite shots now.
So I think what we've found with open lot leads is that they are further down that research phase. So they're a little bit more across their budget, their timing. Lots of them have finance. So they're really at that kind of those final stages of the journey.
It's Friday. I got that event shoot job, so I'm heading out there now. So this is just a 4-hour shoot, but I quoted them for the full day. And the reason being is because there is so much travel involved. I'm doing like a 5-hour round trip to this job. And that means that like, I don't have the time to do any other work outside of this. So it's kind of like, it's basically taking up my full day. I think this is something that, like, I still struggle with this. Sometimes I forget to quote like this. I actually spoke with my wife about this before I sent the quote, because I was kind of second guessing it. I was like, am I taking them for a ride? And then I'm like, no, I'm not, but I want to get the job. But it's like this going back and forth of like making sure your time is fully honored with what you're providing them, but you're not also taking them for a ride. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people out there who might not have even thought about quoting this way for certain jobs. This is probably the second time I've ever quoted like this as well. Like it's not a common thing that I do, but I think it has its place depending on what you're doing, depending on the scope of the work, and what your hourly rate is for the job as well. Okay, side note, when I just said that this is the second time I've quoted like this, I meant this is the second time where I've quoted for a full day, even though it's just a half day. Quite often I will quote for a half day, even if it's just a 2-hour shoot. Whenever I do event shoots, my biggest gripe is having to carry around a backpack. So I have like this Peak Design little compact bag that I take around with me, and it holds absolutely everything. It's so good. It has like batteries, ND filters, and I carry my 70 to 200 in it because I'm shooting on the gimbal with the 24-70. And then if I want to get some handheld shots, cool, set the gimbal down, swap over to the 70 to 200. Then I'm able to get like a good variety of shots, but I don't have to lug around a backpack the whole time, because honestly, I think there's nothing worse than doing an event shoot and just having a backpack on your back. It's so uncomfortable. So I got this job through another videographer who recommended me to this client purely because the event is an all-women's event and they requested a female videographer. So I jumped on board for this project, and the videographer requested that I shoot everything in S Cinetone. This is the second time this year that I have been hired by another videographer and asked to shoot in S Cinetone. So I've been working on a bit of a custom Cinetone picture profile settings that get the best image straight out of camera. That also gives you the ability to really push the colors and bring back the exposure if you need to. I find that the S Cinetone settings straight out of the Sony camera are just really flat and not quite there. And now that I'm also taking on a lot more short form social media content shoots, if the client does request the raw footage from the start, then I can make sure that I shoot in S Cinetone so that I don't need to go through and color grade everything and supply them with color graded footage. I think I'm going to make a social video breaking down the S-Cinetone settings too, so keep an eye out for that.